Hanbok, Korea's traditional attire, is not just clothing worn in the past. It is an emblem of Korean culture, history, and identity. Today, we meet a person who is searching for his Korean identity by designing, making, and wearing hanbok. For today's Hallyu People, we are joined by hanbok designer Yang Cheon-Shik, or Jeff Van Dam, in the studio. Welcome, Cheon-Shik.
Hi, Cheon-Shik.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So first off, Cheon-Shik, you are staying currently in Korea. So tell us a little bit about your visit right now and also introduce yourself to the Culture Wave viewers.
Sure. My name is Yang Cheon-Shik, or Jeff Van Dam, my adoptive name. And this is my return trip, my first time back in Korea. So lots of feelings and so excited to see and do all the things that I've been wanting to do here.
And I've been following you on your social media, and it did seem like you were enjoying your time already here in Korea.
Always.
And so, Cheon-Shik, you are currently wearing a hanbok, and you practice hanbok saenghwal, which means that you wear hanbok on a daily basis. So not just for special occasions like I would do, but that what you're currently wearing is one of your daily hanboks, and you designed it. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Of course. This is one of what you would find me wearing on any range of day. I do practice the hanbok saenghwal lifestyle of not only wearing but making the hanbok as well. I initially started my whole design journey as a way to sort of mitigate the fast fashion and find a way to make clothing that doesn't come from industries and companies, but thinking, well, I'm Korean, what do Korean people wear? And then quickly fell down the rabbit hole of hanbok history, Korean traditions, and so it led me to what I eventually found out, legitimate practice of making and wearing hanbok.
Wow, so you are a designer as well, right? Designing hanbok. What made you, aside from your originate Korean, but what made you, fall deeply in love with hanbok? And also, when did you start wearing hanbok on daily basis, practicing hanbok saenghwal?
I think it was probably about 7 years ago, 7, 8 years, exploring just more of my Korean identity, part of Asian culture in the United States. I think really just wanting to know more about who I am really pushed my interest in what I was looking to be inspired by is Korean aesthetic, Korean design. I think just such a beautifully simplistic but clean presentation and design that I really just had a strong pull towards, whether it's, the internal Korean doing it or not, but it was really just sort of a magnet.
A magnet. I like how you put that. Now, Cheon-Shik, there are many different types of hanboks. Hanboks for men, hanboks for women, and also for the yangban or for the kings and queens. So many different types of hanbok. Do you have a personal favorite?
For the most part, I stay within the designs and sort of shapes of Joseon dynasty, maybe mid to sort of late Joseon. But I find when I'm looking at myself in the whole picture of it, I really just fell in love with what sort of the yangban nobleman's wardrobe would look like in terms of what all the layers are and what they do for the wearer's silhouette. Of course, we can't ignore the kat and gakun and all the beautiful accessories that were displayed throughout this period of Joseon. So I just loved being able to experience and express that through these sort of parameters of Joseon.
Right, and I have to say your hanbok looks beautiful, and I especially when I looked at your other designs, I really liked how the different layers, how they look different from different angles as well. So yes, it is really fascinating.
And with the Hallyu boom as well, there's a growing interest and growing, popularity of hanbok globally. How is your response on the streets of New York? Because you're from New York. How are people, taking this in when people see you on the streets with full hanbok?
I'm completely aware I'm not just a run-of-the-mill outfit in New York, but I think also being in New York, we're used to maybe seeing things you wouldn't see in other places. I mean, definitely nowadays, with the reach of the Korean wave of Hallyu, I hear a lot of, oh, I've never seen that in real life. Like, I've only seen that in Korean dramas or in movies. So very much Hanbok and wearing this is for myself, but for people to experience Korean culture, to just see it physically in front of them, where maybe they would never have the chance to be a part, to see Korean culture in this way.
So how was it on the first day that you wore a hanbok in the streets of New York?
I mean, first full out, learning how tight to tie your headband is a learning curve, but I mean, there's really something about just wearing hanbok, you know, my multi-layered creations or the more traditional layers, the way your body moves and the way it feels to walk in the wind and have all the culture just flowing behind you. But it's such an indescribable feeling of just a solid power, a groundedness, and being my own culture and tradition. Just moving through life, existing in that manner, it's just everything.
I can imagine that that description will make other people want to try it out, because some people might think it might feel uncomfortable to wear a hanbok on a daily basis because there is so much you have to do to wear it. But once you get used to it, I love the expression with the wind, that you feel like you go with the wind while wearing it.
I know, and I'm sure Koreans walking on the streets of New York will be super excited to, you know, see you and be like, oh, I know that, I know it's hanbok, you know, very excited to meet you on the streets of New York.
Well.
Exactly, very proud. But I want to talk about some of the hanbok-related events that you've been to abroad or here in Korea. Can you please tell us about some of them?
Sure. I mean, of course, there are many events that happen in Korea that sadly I have been across the world for. But gratefully in New York, I've sort of grown with a community of historical fashion, historical costumers, and really giving a chance for maybe the first time for people to see Korean tradition within that space, where usually it's a lot of European fashion history and such, but to represent and be one of the first Asian creators, let alone Korean traditional creators. So going to historical events in New York, celebrating, of course, all the Korean holidays with the various cultural centers around New York. But really, it's just anything and everything I can find and do.
Probably very significant for you and meaningful. Now, Cheon-Shik, you describe yourself as aggressively Korean and also a Korean American adoptee. So what is it that you want to express with that, especially the aggressive part?
I feel like a lot of the times as Korean adoptees, especially in the West, we're gatekept a lot from our own culture, where we're often told we're not allowed to be Korean, that we're not Korean enough. And a lifetime of that, you can imagine what the toll it takes. But to fully embrace every aspect of my history, my culture, my tradition, I'm so fiercely proud of that. Aggressively Korean, as some would put it, but I have spent so much time feeling indifferent about my culture growing up, without seeing it, without being surrounded by it, and to finally find myself fully grounded and supported and feel so complete. It's something I never thought I'd be able to feel.
Wow.
Wow, very
And I can imagine that started with you wearing hanbok and feeling even more your Korean identity by doing so.
Yes.
So, Cheon-Shik, how much influence do you think hanbok exerts on you? And also, how much does hanbok display your identity?
I think it's, at this point, almost impossible to extract from each other. I mean, of course, take me out of hanbok and I'm just a normal person, but it's impacted so much part of my life, of my routine, of even when I wake up and get dressed, pulling my hair up into a top knot with a headband, all the accessories. I make all of my own, all the cloth garments. So if I want a new robe, I have to go and make it.
Right.
So every sort of aspect is considered. My apartment in New York, I have a traditional Korean bed. It looks very much as you would. I'm collecting furniture and antiques, all the things. So it's really sort of snowballed into an all-encompassing aspect of my life.
Wow, must be very interesting to also design your, own, hanbok itself, right?
Oh, yes.
So you don't have to go shopping,
Oh, no.
right?
I go to the
You just
fashion
have to make
garment
it
district.
You
yourself.
just have to make
Just
it,
takes
right?
a little
You just
longer.
need some fabrics and,
Yep.
time to.
There's no one stopping me except myself.
Wow. And then now we want to move on to, talking about your goals and your wishes as hanbok designer or someone, who wants to raise awareness about this Korean traditional clothing hanbok as well.
I think where we're going in terms of sharing, I think we're on a really good track already. There's how quickly Korean culture has spread around the world and how much the world embraces that. It's so sort of clear to see. And I think, reaching out, respecting our traditions at the same time, I think Korea is very good at sharing what makes us special, what we love about our culture, and inviting the rest of the world in. I think the bits that I've seen, be it Korean designers such as Miss Sohee showing in Paris Fashion Week, the Korean global fashion, the designers here that I have seen on people in the States. So I've seen that reach like in front of my eyes, but I think it can only do more to strengthen Korea in itself and our ties with the world.
Cheon-Shik, our final question to you is something that I can imagine you would be best at describing. What makes hanbok so beautiful?
Ooh, I mean, there's so many things. I think it's all of Hanbok's journey, all of the iterations, dynasties, shapes, styles. I think seeing that in its total encompassing history is such a beautiful thing that our clothing remained pretty similar for so long, and that we lived centuries expressing ourselves fully in this clothing. And for maybe under 100 years, we've switched out of that, but it still exists, and to hopefully encourage that it may not just be for holidays or special days, that the feeling and goodness and power that you get from hanbok, just wearing it, it can be for any time.
I think you just encouraged us to
To
wear
wear
hanbok
yes.
on not only on special days like
I
Chuseok
know.
or 설날 or when we get married or and so forth. And on that beautiful note, we want to thank you, Cheon-Shik, for sharing your story with us today, and we wish you the best for your future endeavors and journey.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure being here.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. We'll see you next time.
Yes, I'll see you next time.